help me, okay? Help me not do this, okay?
What?
Are all of these people on Twitter, did they just choose to be trans?
No.
Are you sure? Because now when I'm reading things that Demon Mama and this girl is saying, it's the way that it's reading to me is they're just like, f it, I think I just want to be trans. Is because that's what these arguments are reading like to me.
No.
Like
that no. What do you what how does that make you a TERF?
Well, no. Oh, wait. So you think that that's an okay assertion to make? Because I would consider that to be a really turfy assertion, that like a whole bunch of trans people that are just choosing to be trans because it's trendy or something like that, right? But like when somebody
Wait.
Yeah. Do you understand?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Look at this girl's. Look at this girl's.
I don't agree with that.
Look at this girl's tweet. This sounds like something a TERF would say. Prove that they didn't just choose their gender, and then we'll talk. That sounds like a TERF tweet to me.
I have a question for you.
What's up? I got 20 minutes left. What's up?
Yeah, do you think that the take that being transgender can't be a choice is controversial? Or do you think that that's wrong?
I mean, theoretically, I guess it could be a choice, but we can never prove that. We probably shouldn't treat it as such. Like, theoretically, somebody could choose to be gay, but it's a pretty bad narrative to set. I don't know why or where this has come from recently. Because if you could, the problem is the implication is that if you could choose to be trans, couldn't you choose not to be? So why wouldn't you just do that, right?
Have you seen those tweets? Oh, they deleted all their... Oh, they just... Oh, wait, no. They've blocked their... Oh, no, they blocked me. That's very interesting. Very... Wow.
I think the problem is people got committed to an ideological position of like trans women are women. And I for some reason, they feel like this commits them to like this unquestioning support of every single statement relating to transness. So basically just saying that like, I am trans, like that's all you need to be trans. And if that's the case, then there is no such thing as a socially defined concept of gender or anything else.
No, exactly. Like I gave this example. Like if can I just say that I'm autistic then? Well, I mean I am, but like if I wasn't, does that now make me that? It makes no sense.
It's just a very dumb. It's very stupid. It's just very stupid. I don't know how else to say
it. It doesn't make any.
Because the problem is that theoretically anybody. By the way, I identify as non-binary now, so respect that. But I still use he/him pronouns. I'm super serious if I'm going to get called out on that because I don't know how you would begin to do it, right? Or if Steven Crowder decides that he wants to be trans, I think that I could actually make, using these types of arguments, I think that I could actually make strong arguments for certain conservative people being trans. You remember Lauren? Remember Lauren Southern?
It entails, it entails you can just say whatever the fuck, and there is zero way that
you can never validate that. And I can even argue like, okay, sure, she even said it was a joke, but so did ContraPoints initially. Like a lot of people joke about their gender before, becoming more comfortable with it. So yeah, I think that anybody but it's just so absurd, right? Like,
that's the practice. So there's really two aspects to this. There's that practical aspect, right? But then there is also the theoretical aspect.
Yeah, I only focus on the practical because that's all anybody cares about. But theoretically, I don't even know if this is worth discussing. It's like, it's so on its face obvious. Like I am a rock.
Yeah, no, exactly. But because being a rock is a socially defined, like that is, we have a set of rules to determine what it takes to be a rock. But we also want to say that that is a natural term, something that corresponds to something in the world, right? But if we because I'm really into social constructivism, but just because something is socially constructive doesn't mean that it's governed by rules that are just completely under a single individual's will.
Yeah, this is something that I've said this a lot recently. I've been talking about this a lot lately, is because I engage in a lot of deconstructionism on stream, which is fun, but I feel like people don't know the point of it, which is like you take apart things to understand them. And I feel like sometimes people engage in unhealthy levels of deconstructionism. So like the thing that
like Derrida?
No, I just mean like the idea of like breaking down like well understood concepts that aren't previously questioned and then breaking them apart into their pieces to get a better understanding of those pieces. So for instance,
that's like analysis, really.
Yeah, sure. Okay, call it analysis, sure.
Yeah.
But the problem is that a lot of people have a very bad understanding of what it means, for instance, to say something is socially constructed. People seem to think that if something is socially constructed and it's not quote unquote real, that it has no power. But that's really stupid. Race is socially constructed. that doesn't mean that there's no such thing as racism, right? Or that doesn't mean that people don't have experience as races of people. Just because something is socially constructed doesn't mean that it's not real or we shouldn't pay attention to it. So like the categories of male and female, whether we're talking sex or gender, they could both be socially constructed, but that doesn't mean that there isn't like a very real cultural phenomenon that refers to this, which is what everybody seems to not understand anymore, which is really fucking weird to me.
Yeah, I mean, like, so for like, I brought up when I tweeted, I brought up the idea of, you know, scientific realism being like a possible argument for it, because there is quite literally, like, there's a lot of, like, the actual science indicates that it wouldn't be a choice if you accept those scientific models. And so I include that in my arguments. But like that, like, even if you're not, because I'm a scientific anti-realist, that doesn't preclude you from making those same arguments.
I was going to say, even if you were a scientific realist, you could probably still argue against the idea of like the category of male or female existing. Like it could still be, even if you believed that like science was, you know, discovering the reality of the world or whatever, that doesn't necessarily commit you to saying that the category of male and female is real, right? Like you could still be constructivist when it comes to categories and believe that science is moving towards like some like true factual discoveries of the fact of the matter or whatever, right?
That's true, but I think there tends to be, well, you know,
some coherence between people
like
that are
a mental state, right? I think is, and they want to reduce those types of attitudes that we have towards ourselves and towards others as being rooted primarily in something material. But no, I think you're probably right that it doesn't necessitate that. But like, you know, even if you aren't, so just because you're not a materialist doesn't mean you have to embrace this hyper. But like, no, because like, you can be a social constructivist, but it's whether you as an agent have will over everything, and clearly that's just not fucking true. So why is it true about gender? I mean, we can't control very, very basic things about our psyche, and about the way that we feel about things, and about the way that I have towards my attitudes towards different people and different things. So why is gender somehow now an exception to the rule where we have complete control over how we interact with our gender? That to me is just completely, it's so, it bothers me. And then to be told that I'm illiterate, and oh God, it's just really fucking annoying. God,
hold on, fuck, this is just, hold on one second.
Are you tweeting?
Yeah, because I'm arguing with that girl. 1 second.
Oh, fuck, I'm blocked now.
I gotta be so careful because I don't want to see anything. But I don't think I'm in the wrong here.
Someone screenshot the tweet so I can see. I know it takes a bit because you have to DM your friend. He might be offline though, so.
I don't understand how these just aren't. These just feel like turf argument. Or here, does this tweet make sense that I just typed? Hold on.
Where?
Or that my friend typed. 1 second.
Well, no, you did type it to your friend to then post.
I didn't even type. I just suggested he tweet about it, and then I think he just tweeted. Let me find it.
Right. How do I?
Did you ever read J.K. Rowling's article on trans people? Okay, tell me if this fits, because I feel like it totally does. That's the biggest problem that I have with this.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, because this is one of the biggest pushbacks I have to push against because I've talked to that. Is it like Ariel Scarelli or whatever? She was like a semi-popular TERF on the internet. Most TERFs make the argument that if we allow trans women to identify in whatever way they want, then bad faith actors are just going to come in and threaten women's spaces. That's a really common TERF talking point from what I've seen, right? And if you're going to, but the easiest response to that, I thought the easiest consistent response to that is like, hold on, people don't just fucking choose to be trans, okay? Like these are like immutable conditions of people that we have to respect because they don't have any choice otherwise. And if people aren't making that choice, then we can easily escape the argument of they make these choices for bad reasons. They don't make these choices for bad reasons because they don't make that choice, like full stop. And now we're done with that discussion. But if you're starting to say that like, oh, well, anybody can choose their gender at any time. Anybody can choose their gender identity at any time. Like, even if we ignore on the face of how dumb that is, man, that all of a sudden, all of those TERF arguments just became like way stronger. Like,
Oh, yeah.
well, hold on. Like me and Rem are going to the gym today. I think I kind of feel like identifying as woman today. Hold on. You can't stop me. Don't you fucking dare question my gender identity that I told. Like, hold on. Like now, wait. Like, yeah, that just seems on its face really really empowering to turfy language to me.
Yeah, because they literally do the exact same thing Lexi did, which is to ask, well, can you prove I'm not? Can you prove I'm not? No, you fucking can't. And that's such a, oh my God, it's such an ignorant argument to make, because it's like saying, hey, prove that I can see the color purple. Prove that I can see the color red. You can't. It doesn't work like that. These are phenomenologically basic things.
Okay. Oh my God. I'm about to become a turf, Rem. Okay. Help me. Okay. Help me not do this. Okay.
What?
Are all of these people on Twitter, did they just choose to be trans?
No.
Are you sure? Because now when I'm reading things that Demon Mama and this girl is saying, it's the way that it's reading to me is they're just like, fuck it. I think I just want to be trans. Because that's what these arguments are reading like to me.
No.
Like,
no. What do you? What? How does that make you a turf?
well, no. Oh, wait. So you think that that's an okay assertion to make? Because I would consider that to be a really turfy assertion. That like a whole bunch of trans people that are just choosing to be trans because it's trendy or something like that, right? But like when somebody
Wait.
Yeah. Do you understand?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Look at this girl's. Look at this girl's.
I don't agree with that.
Look at this girl's tweet. This sounds like something a turf would say. Prove that they didn't just choose their gender, and then we'll talk. That sounds like a turf tweet to me.
Oh yeah, yes, it does. I mean, I don't want to make a psychological.
Yeah, I'm not. I know. I'm trying not to. It's hard.
I'm sure that there are certain people who identify as trans, but the same thing with It's the same. But look, it's the same thing with autistic people or people with ADHD, right? They claim to have the condition, but they actually don't. Right. So of course there's going to be people, but the question is it ever productive? Is it ever productive or useful to accuse someone of that?
I think it's a little bit different when we talk about ADHD and autistic people, though, because those people aren't threatening previously defined categories. Remember, that's how the TERF always approaches these, as though their previous category is being threatened. The TERF is a feminist that claims to defend the category of woman and everything that goes along with that, whether it's safe space, women, conversation. Yeah, exactly. They defend. That's what they are supposedly trying to defend. But for ADHD and autistic people, it's like they can identify however they want. They're not threatening a prior category like a TERF would claim that a trans person is threatening a category.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. But what I mean by it is
wait. To define, when you say that's fine, you mean you understand that. You don't agree with that, right?
Yeah.
You don't agree with TERFs that say that trans.
Yes, I don't agree with that.
Okay, I'm just making sure you're not. Yeah.
But what I'm saying more is that. On a pragmatic consideration for you, is it actually useful at all to accuse someone you don't? Because I think it could be mistaken.
Oh no, like, I agree. I don't think you should ever accuse someone of being fake trans, if that's what you're getting at.
Oh yes, yeah. That's what I was trying to make sure. And the other thing is that because obviously there are absolutely going to be people that are false claiming.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and it could happen with literally anything, of course. But we would just accept that.
And
but that's not.
Why I brought up autistic and
sure, yeah. But we don't. We just don't engage with that. We don't care. Sure, there might be some fake trans or fake gay people out there, but like this is just not something.
But it's not. It's not being a TERF to say that there are people that are doing that.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, it might, if you start calling out every trans person saying they're fake, then you're getting.
Why were you worried that you were being a TERF?
Because I'm just, it's very confusing to me, or at least it just goes against everything that I thought I understood about trans people. That it seems like there's so many trans people right now in the debate sphere that are basically saying like, oh yeah, being trans is a choice. Like gender doesn't have anything to do with social pressure at all. It's literally just you're choosing to be trans, which is.
I have the answer for you. It's called being lazy. Because it doesn't require argumentation.
Maybe.
It doesn't, right? No, yeah. I'm serious. I feel quite confident that is what it is. In the same way that a lot of people are becoming epistemic anti-realists, right? Because when someone comes to you and says, "Oh, you know what? You're not transgender. You know, you're actually male." You could say, "Well, guess what? Everything's socially constructed." End of discussion.
Yeah,
there's nothing on you to have the further meaningful discussion. Asking, well, what does it mean to be a woman? And then establishing that is divorced from the sexual or the biological categories of sex. That actually takes effort. And, lefties and putting in effort to understand the topics they talk about, not a great combination usually.
Sure.
So I think that's ultimately, I think that's exactly what's going on.
I guess it's really weird now. I haven't done transitions in a long time. But I can just see Yeah, fuck. It's just gonna suck. Cause like if I have an argument with Sargon again, he can start to pull out so many tweets from other trans people basically to just argue against everything I'm saying. Like, and he's like, well, the trans community on Twitter disagrees with all of your takes about trans people. So who knows better, you or them? And it's like, well, fuck, I guess. Like, it makes me sound pretty bad if I say, like, as a cis male, like, oh yeah, like, well, hold on, trans male because I'm non-binary. But as a non-binary male, it makes me feel bad to say, or it makes me sound bad to commit myself to saying that, like, yeah, well, I know better than like these other people do about their own identity. I don't know. That just like, it's just a very weird world to be in, I guess.
Yeah, no, well, and the other thing I was thinking is that I think what it could be is a category mistake where essentially someone is mistaking, because we have to look at this like, and the term's pretentious, but like phenomenologically, and you know what I mean by that, right? Like
the experience, like an experience of something. Yeah.
Yeah, as we experience it directly. So it's not something that I can sort of put into propositional form, although I mean,
well,
I guess Marty thinks we can.
Yeah.
But so, you know, if we talk to trans people, or even me, because I identify as non-binary, so I have direct experience of how I experience my gender, and I know that it is not at all a choice. So there's two alternatives then. One is that it's always a choice, and that it's never something that just naturally occurs with someone. I mean, we know that's just straight up false, right? Because
I wonder if I were to ask, should we consider as a first step for trans people, if you were to ask one of these people, do you think we should consider conversion therapy again then for some trans people? Maybe they'll make a different choice after they've been converted. Right? Like that's what it seems like, that's the road that they're logically entailing themselves to.
Oh, yes. No,
and the answer would be, yeah, and the answer would clearly be no, of course not. Like we've seen that just doesn't work. Like it's not that simple.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, no, it's not that simple. And the other thing is that, I mean, the argument is just going to be, of course, that, well, there's nothing harmful in being trans. So like, well, you know, why would we do that?
Why would we do what?
Well, why would we have like, even if
there is some harm, the harm is done to the self, right? Well, not in being trans, but in experiencing.
Actually, no, you're wrong.
Gender dysphoria.
Why would you need to do conversion therapy if it's a choice?
Well, because maybe if they could be converted, it would help them make another. Like my defense against things like.
But this is the thing. And this is what I think might be going on, is that they're using a very slippery notion of choice, where what they're talking about is not actual choice in any meaningful way that we think about it, but is something that is governed by environment.
No, I disagree. I know exactly what you're saying, but I don't think, because I would actually I might actually even agree with that things like being gay or being trans is maybe a quote unquote choice that we make when we're like 3 or 4 years old after some level of conditioning or whatever. That might be the case, right? It's hard to say.
In the environment that we put ourselves in.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like, but at that level, we would be very careful to use the word choice, because like these are influences that are happening way before you could ever know the impact of the choices you're making, right? So we wouldn't call that a choice in the same way that like it's more like a social environment or whatever that leads to predictable outcomes. But like, if somebody were to tell me, for instance, like, you know, like, what do we think about like conversion therapy for like trans people? Like my answer would be, okay, well, obviously, no, these don't work, because you can't just choose your way out of your trances. That's a ridiculous concept. You can't just choose that. Like these people like suffer with so much in their lives, depending on if they're experiencing dysphoria or whatnot. The idea that they're just choosing that to be trendy or for whatever reason is ridiculous. But then these arguments just seem to kind of fly in the face of that. Like, oh, well, of course some people choose to be trans. Like, when they're making it sound like a large number of people could be, or like any trans person could be, because gender isn't real in any way.
Yeah, I mean, and this is why I don't think we can ever ascribe to these people. And I told Lexi this on Twitter. They just called me illiterate again. That, you know, you can't choose to, I said that it's absurd to ascribe to you the idea that you can choose to be transgender and that there's nothing natural about it. So it's always a choice. I wouldn't dare ascribe that to someone, because that's so incredibly wrong, right? So it's going to be a case of, well, some people choose to and some people don't. But if we actually talk to anyone, you know, who has gone through gender dysphoria and experienced what it means to be transgender, they almost always will say, well, no, it's not something that I had a choice over. So how do we reconcile that testimony, which comes from, I think, the vast majority of transgender
or being gay as well, right? Yeah.
Or being gay. Like, I don't know a single gay person ever who has said that it was their choice, because they would all tell me, if it was a fucking choice, I would choose not to be gay.
Of course, depending on their experiences, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And think about the amount of people who don't live in a westernized country where there is, in a lot of places, acceptance of being gay. Like, how do you, so yeah, it is basically you're saying, well, no, like you are either lying or you're mistaken. And I think it's more you're mistaken about that phenomenological experience, in the same way that we can be mistaken about other things, right? But I mean, I don't think any of these people are in good faith. So, you can't prove against them. But in the same way that I can't prove that they're not experiencing this brand new color that they've invented called, whatever you want to call it, right? It's just, there's no conversation to be had there. Like, what if I say, what if I say I'm actually God? Prove me wrong. It's the same level of argument. Like, what are they going to say? No, you're not.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's nothing there. So, and then they get mad at you for not giving an argument.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. They didn't block you, but they blocked me. That's sad. I always thought Lexi was cool. Maybe I didn't really ever.
That's just another person that screams transphobic at me over and over and over again. So I think they're dumb. But what are you gonna do?
No, I don't really engage with those people. Well, I wonder. Oh, look, there's another tweet. I have to open this in incognito.
If I make fun of this person for being an otherkin, am I being transphobic somehow?
For being otherkin?
Is a doe person otherkin? Does that make me trans? Does that count as trans people?
Wait, are they an otherkin?
I think so.
Oh, wow. We're getting to some really complicated philosophical territory here. I was thinking about this because there are,
because I want to make a Bambi joke, but I don't know if that's like transphobic to attack somebody's otherkin. But I don't know. Never mind. I can't. I have to leave it alone. This enemy is too strong for me. I can't do it. There's too much that could go wrong. Never mind. All right.
It's funny. I shouldn't say. Well, before I studied like indigenous stuff, I thought two-spirit meant otherkin, but it doesn't mean that at all.
Nice.
But yeah, believe it or not, indigenous people aren't identifying as like turtles and stuff, or maybe some are. Probably the same proportion of people are as people are doing on Twitter, I suppose. So, yeah, are they actually an otherkin? Do you know?
I don't know. They like. Am I allowed to say role play as a deer, or is saying they're role playing, is that bad? They act like a deer on stream, and I thought it's because they do otherkin stuff, but I might be wrong on that. I don't know.
Right. Well, I was just wondering if like they view that in the same way as gender.
Who knows?
But who knows? Okay. Well, anyways, yeah. Good luck with being called illiterate.
Thanks.
You should probably just get blocked instead. That'll save you.
I'm sure it's coming. Don't worry. All right. Be careful, buddy.
Okay. Yeah. Have a good night.
Bye.
Remember to hit that like and subscribe, and don't forget the notification bell so that my videos show up right in your feed.
You're like putting out to people like that I'm incapable of going hard. I can go hard. Okay? That's what they say when you're really hard, and I can do that. We both know I can go hard. I don't want to go hard.